Yeah, I'll go through the injuries first. Is that okay with
Yep.
you?
Absolutely.
Derek told me to ask.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Are we ready?
Yep.
Okay. All right, guys. I'll give you the injury report. So out today will be Tommy Sweeney and John Feliciano, Pat DeMarco, Taiwan Jones, Jason Kroom, Victor Sulaco, Mario Addison, Vernon Butler, Brian Cox, Dane Jackson, Levi Wallace. Limited today will be Josh Norman and Stephon Diggs. So with that, we will open it up to your questions.
Hi, Sean.
Hi, Vic.
I wanted to start with, I guess, where we left off with you the last time, and you were still sorting out, you thought you had a good idea of where it would go, but sorting out that right side of your O-line. Can you give us any definitive sense of where that is now?
Nothing definitive right now. I wish I could. Still, listen, there's some interchangeable parts there, position flexibility as well that needs to get measured and evaluated. And I think the cool piece about it is each of these guys that we're evaluating, brings something slightly different than the other one. So, but that also means it makes for a harder, tougher job on us as coaches to make sure that we truly go through it and making sure we've vetted it the way we need to vet it.
And one other on John Brown, in the sense that so much of the focus on your receiving core has been on Stephon Diggs and certainly the two rookies, just because they're new faces as well. But John Brown, a guy that I'm guessing shouldn't be forgotten, and that you certainly aren't. But if you could give me a sense of how you see his evolving with these new parts, how they complement him. And again, the guy that probably you shouldn't sleep on, I guess, for sake of a better term.
Yeah, that's pretty swag by you, Vic, about not sleeping on, man.
Thank you, Sean. I try to be as swag as I can be.
Love it. Yeah, you're right. I mean, John he's one of my favorite guys, man. Love him. He's all about the team, very unselfish approach. Again, which is unique to that, somewhat unique to that position. It's been interesting and fun to watch his relationship with Stephon Diggs grow, and then really Stephon's relationship with the guys that have been here, Cole Beasley included, and then adding some new pieces in the draft. So it's a good group, and I just really appreciate the dynamic in that room and how everyone's taken a very unselfish approach. There's only one ball, and so it's important that we continue to do that as we move forward.
Thank you, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, John Scott, good to see you this morning.
Good to see you, John.
Josh is limited, a good step in the right direction. What is your approach with him, understanding that he is part of a competition with Levi and the window before the regular season is shrinking?
Right. It's important that all these guys get back. As I've said before, don't want to miss time, and it's hard to add value when you're not available. And it's unfortunate that whenever we find an injury or have an injury pop up, these guys do a great job in the off season of getting themselves ready to go. But the fact remains, the next man up has to be ready to step in and do his job at a high level, and until these guys can come back, and hopefully we can get them back sooner than later. Excuse me.
Bless you. Just to follow up, is a week and a half, is that enough time for you to properly evaluate Josh against Levi to make a decision on that competition?
No, I mean, we've got to be smart and sharp with our approach there. Josh is a guy, as you know, that I've been around, and so I know what he can do. That said, I also know that there's work to be done yet, and it's important that he continues to maximize those treatment opportunities and gets back as soon as he can.
Thanks.
Sure.
Coach, good morning. Just with respect to your defensive line, would you consider it to be the most versatile, position flexible group you've had in your time here in Buffalo? And then if so, how much do you feel that helps Coach Frazier in keeping that group unpredictable for opposing offensive lines?
Well, Chris, I think it's really about fresh bodies, and we've got a number of guys that we can roll in there, which is good to have. And many of whom have significant reps under their belt at this level. I think the way that they work together has been the biggest thing to this point. The way that group's coming together off the field is going to make them a good unit on the field. And so, again, similar to the wide receiver position, these guys are unselfish in their approach, and they know that affecting on their side can lead to a sack by somebody else on the other side. So, it's call it what you may, but it may be a committee type of approach, which I'm totally fine with. And I think that at the end of the day, that the better defenses that I've been around, again, are anchored by that defensive line, and that committee approach usually serves it well.
Thank you.
Sure.
Good morning, Sean. Josh Reed here. How are you?
Good, Josh. How are you?
Good. The John Feliciano, right after the surgery, says, "Hey, I'll be back for the Raiders game." Kind of the typical player mentality. Just kind of curious how you've seen him come along in his rehab.
Yeah, that's why I love John, man. He's just a warrior, man. He loves to play, loves to be out there with his teammates. You guys have been out there at practice. I mean, it's hard to keep him in the training room while practice is going on outside. So he wants to be out there with his guys, and I love that. That's why he's one of the leaders on our football team. He really embodies what we're all about. And I know he's chomping at the bit to get back as soon as he can.
One other question. Saran Neal heading into year 3 now. Where have you seen him develop it, and where is he right now?
He continues to grow on and off the field. He's growing with the defensive understanding of our scheme and the special teams aspect as well. And so we're looking for him to continue to take another step, not only on the defensive side, but also on the special teams phases as well.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
Yep, you got it.
Hi, Sean. Mark Gaughan here from the Buffalo News. Thanks for doing this. Just following up on what Chris Brown's question. Jerry Hughes played 65% of the snaps last year, which is not ridiculous, but it's a healthy amount. Do you think that, knock on wood, things look the way they look right now, you can keep him fresher? Do you have a sweet spot, like in mind for a defensive linemen, 40 to 50 to 60. And, do you think that, again, if it stays the way it is right now, that you can keep these guys longing and competing for a little more reps?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, it's the fresher we can be, the faster and more physical you play, the stronger you play. That's a position that takes there's friction, if you will, on just about every play, because there's engaging with the opponent on every play, and not every position can say that. So that tends to wear people down. But those guys are in great shape. We've tried to be smart with, as you mentioned, Jerry's, age, just getting a little bit older in his time in the league, and we've tried to be smart with giving him some rest, as well as Mario and some of the other guys up there. So the more we can continue to put fastballs at the quarterback, the better we'll be, and the more collective they'll play, and it's a big part of our defense. And so that in particular in the run game, the gap integrity that those guys have to play with, the disciplined approach, is very important to being a good defense.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, Sal Mayorana in Rochester. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Sal.
My questions are about Levi Wallace. So the first thing is, what is he dealing with today, injury-wise?
Yeah, he's dealing with a hamstring.
Okay, is that a situation that looks ominous, sort of like Josh Norman's, or where do you look at that?
Yeah, I don't know. We don't know yet. I think it's on a day-to-day basis, so we'll see. Sometimes these things are just sore, and so we just got to take it one day at a time, and that's what we'll do here.
Okay, so then to my question about his play, obviously for the last year and a half, you've been, I would guess, come through and sort of solidified that side why you think this kid with this chip on the shoulder that he always talks about, why he's been able to do this as an undrafted free agent?
Yeah, so Sal, you broke up a little bit, so if I don't answer your question fully, just let me know. But I think you've asked about Levi and why he's been able to do what he's been able to do. And I would just say I think really it comes down to the person that he is. When I walk by him in the hallway, when I ask Levi how he's doing, he'll usually say, always or whatever. He's got these sayings that just puts me at ease that he's got it all, that he'll be ready to go just in terms of the day-to-day approach. And he's a very consistent young man at his age, which to me goes back to the way he was raised by his mom and dad. And for him being a man of faith in terms of his Christian approach. And he's very, very comfortable and secure in who he is as a person, which I think is the start to being a good football player.
Yeah, thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean. Jay from the Buffalo News. How you doing?
Good, Jay. How are you?
Good, thanks. I'm getting a lot of questions about cornerbacks today. Going back to Saran, does he have the versatility or the flexibility to move outside? I know you've used him in the slot a lot, but if you needed to, could he play outside?
Yes, he could. He's played some inside, he's played some outside. Saran's a very good athlete with good speed and physicality, so he has all the tools to play either.
And the reason I ask that is just, depth at outside cornerback. You saw it last year in the playoff game against Houston. It got challenged to the point where he had to move Taryn outside. Where do you feel like you're at on the roster? I know given that, you've got guys dealing with injuries with Josh and Levi now, but do you feel your depth at outside cornerback? How do you feel about it, I guess?
Yeah. Well, I'd like about 10, starting corners if we could do that. I think every head coach in the NFL would. There's never enough. You know what I mean? It's a position that you're looking for. Every coach is looking for. Every GM is looking for constantly. And so, yeah, I'm concerned, but I'm also confident in our training staff and the players. And we've put a good schedule in place to this point, and we'll continue to do that. And so the reality of it is, to your question and your point, Jay, that it is a position injury-wise that does get challenged every year because of the speed element as it relates to playing outside. So, my hope and prayer is that we continue to get these guys healthy and that we're going to put our best foot forward when we can.
Thank you, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, Thad Brown, WRLC in Rochester. Just real quick, any of the guys who are out today at practice, are they veteran rest days?
No, today we'll be in the stadium, so it's more of a jog through, walk through type practice. So we would not be giving a vet day today, Thad.
Is then Mario Addison? What is his issue?
Yeah, he's got some knee soreness. So we're going to give him a day or two of rest here.
Okay. And then a different topic, we asked you about Reggie Gilliam on Monday at fullback, and now he's listed as a tight end on the roster. Why the position change for him?
Well, that's really what he is for us. He's come in and done some good things. Again, he's a rookie, but it was just what numbers were available to our equipment manager, Jeff Mazurek, when Reggie came in. And so we put him in a 40 number, but at the end of the day, he's really a tight end for us.
Is it unusual? He is at 6 foot even, the shortest tight end in the NFL, listed on a roster by a lot. Is that unusual to have a guy at that size make that his prototypical NFL position?
Well, I don't know. I saw you guys looking at you underneath the goalpost the other day. You do seem to do a pretty good job too. And you're not the tallest guy out there. I think Skursky has you. Skursky has you, or maybe it was John Scott you're standing. He may be taller than you, John Scott, I think.
Oh, see, John Scott could play tight end, but my tight end days were gone back in the early 90s at high school. So I appreciate the thought, though.
Yeah, look, it comes down to heart at the end of the day, right?
Cool. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah, sure thing.
Hey, Coach, Alexa Ross in Rochester as well. You talk about selflessness in the wide receiver group. You also talk about it on your defensive line. Having that selflessness on both sides of the ball, how do you think that that is going to help, advance the process, kind of get you to hold your team to the highest caliber, things like that?
Yeah, listen, it's the good teams that I've been around, including our team last season. There's a degree of selflessness, as you said, on those teams. You have to have that you're willing to put the team first and sacrifice individual accolades for the betterment of the team. And we've all been around teams or seen at least teams on paper that look to be very talented, but they're not willing to do that, and so the pieces don't fit together. And that's what we have to understand as we go into this season, that the team is the most important thing. And if the team wins, we all win. And honestly, and then contrary to that is when the team loses, we all lose. And so we have to toe the line in those moments, because there's a journey every year, and it's not all going to be easy and simple. So we've got to be willing to take the good and the bad.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, thank you guys. Have a good day.